In the last video, we started looking at some ways that elementary teachers can increase student engagement. Here we're going to consider one broad category, but a variety of ways that it can be used. These are coming from the book Total Participation Techniques that I mentioned last time. You can check that book out from our teacher resource library for more details and for more strategies you can try out. But they call this method hold-ups. The focus is on having students hold up something to show their response. These can be cards of various kinds, which will generally be the case in elementary classes. If you're in a class where all students have technology, there are student response systems that work there. But we're going to be looking at using actual cards or something else that students hold up. Now, why are these useful for student engagement? The idea here is that you're able to get every student in the class involved very quickly. You ask a question, you pose a problem, and every student simultaneously responds in a way that you can quickly check. You see, if you only ask verbal questions and want a verbal answer, you typically get one response from one student and then move on. You might ask for a follow-up and then involve a few others, but you don't have time to ask a question, get a response from each child, and then move to the next question where you do the same thing. But with response cards or hold-ups, you're getting every student to respond to every question. So let's look at response cards, physical things, physical cards that kids hold up to show their answers. Remember, one of the keys for this to work is that you want the response to be something easily visible by you so you can glance quickly around the room and see their answers. It means they have to be somewhat large, perhaps different colors, not too detailed. One possibility is just to give each student an A, B, C, D cards, preferably of different colors. Then you call out questions pretty quickly. Okay, you're reading a story and you say, okay, what was the last thing Billy said before he walked in the door? A, I'm sad. B, I can't wait to see the surprise. C, where's my dog? D, I'm hungry. Ready? Show. Or a math problem. 2 times 4 equals A, 6, B, 8, C, 24, D, 2. Go. Now you might jot these answers on the board so they'll remember them, so that you write down A and then write the responses, but the idea is that they see what to respond. Even quicker are yes-no cards. You just ask a yes or no question and they hold it up. For more detail, you could get cards like these, where there's a lot of different opportunities, a lot of things that you can ask them. You can also give more detailed true-false cards like these, which get some more in-depth thinking. Finally, for complete flexibility, there's the personal marker boards, and many of you use these. Now, the thing to be careful here is that you don't want the kids to have to write a lot, meaning you have to read a lot. For example, don't do something like have them do memory verses with them, because that's going to take you a good while to read each one of them. And you'll then have to deal with reading their handwriting. So you don't want to have to deal with that. You want something that you can pick up on quickly and that you could evaluate quickly. Now, like I said, there are technologically oriented student response systems like Socrative and others that do the same thing, but these depend on every student having a device. Since we don't have BYOD in elementary school, I'm going to skip over those, but there's one that does work in a non-BYOD setting. This is called Plickers. With Plickers, each student is given a card with a unique shape. When you ask a question, the student rotates the card and holds it up. Okay, one edge is A, another edge is B, and so on. Then you use your phone or your tablet. Use the camera on it and scan the room quickly, and it registers each student's response. And you get instant feedback. And so that's free. So I encourage you to check that out at plickers.com. Now remember in this that we want to press the students to higher order thinking skills, things that actually increase student engagement when done right, because it requires the students to use more of their brain power to answer the questions. Now it's easy to do low-level recall questions with hold-ups, but we want to press to higher order thinking. Even when the questions are low level, we can move into higher levels of thinking if you follow up the questions. Asking follow-up questions is good here, so ask a multiple choice question, but before you tell them what the right answer is, ask a few students why they chose that answer, both the right one and some wrong ones, and do that regularly, so the students won't think, well, if she asked me why I chose it, it must mean I got it wrong. When they get the right answer, ask them why. After some students explain their answer, still before you tell who's right, if you see some variation in the class and some are saying one answer and some another, have some of them explain their answer, then say, okay, let's re-vote on it and do the question again and see if they change their answer. Also, you can ask questions that don't have easy answers. For example, which of the three branches of government is most important in keeping a balance of power between the three? So, there's a lot of ways you can use these hold-ups. Here are some examples of questions you can use with hold-ups beyond the low-level questions. For example, a modified true-false, you could ask, the American Revolution was caused by the British taxation of the colonists. And then they use the four response true-false things. Or multiple choice. You could say, okay, A is inch, B is millimeter, C is foot, D is meter. Put those on the board and then say, okay, which of these would be the best one to measure your dog? Or to measure the length of your thumb? Or to measure the size of your front yard? Okay, you could use a yes-no question. Was Samson right to kill the Philistines with the donkey's jawbone? Or use a whiteboard and say, what's the most important thing fish need to live? Okay, so these are ways that you can use higher level questions with these response cards, with these hold-ups. Another method of getting student response is through movement. Have the kids move in some way to indicate their answer. It might be, everyone who believes Herbie Hamster in the story will win the race, stand up. Everyone who believes he'll lose, put your head down on your desk. Or you might have 4 locations in your room labeled A, B, C, D with posters. Then you give a multiple choice question and say, now, go stand at your answer. See, the students enjoy getting up and moving around. That in itself increases engagement because they're having to respond in some tangible way. But it also helps them in their learning. I've mentioned this in a previous session, but when students are physically active, the blood flow to their brain is increased, and their brain works more effectively, so movement helps them learn better. Now, to be honest, I've learned over the years that most elementary teachers innately know that students must be engaged with their learning. I don't know of a second grade teacher who's going to teach through a 50-minute lecture. You already know you have to keep students involved. But my hope is that these videos that you've been watching with some of these ideas have given you some fresh ideas for keeping student involvement and engagement at a high level and will help you to be more intentional about it. So thanks for watching.